The blacksmith lived at the edge of the valley, where the mountains pressed close and the road no longer promised safety. War had passed through this land so many times that the ground itself seemed tired. He had once forged weapons for generals whose banners no longer existed. In those years, his hands never rested. Steel after steel, blade after blade, each one leaving his forge to disappear into smoke and shouting. Then his sons went to war, and only their armor returned. After that, the forge grew quiet, until the night the stranger arrived. He came without escort, without colors, without a name worth remembering. His armor was worn smooth by travel, not battle. He placed a single bar of dark steel on the anvil. "I need a blade," the man said. "One that ends fights." The blacksmith should have refused. Instead, he listened. The steel rang when touched, softly, as if struck far away. Before the fire was lit, before the hammer fell, the forge fire burned darker that night. The water in the quenching basin clouded without reason. Shadows moved where no hands cast them. And when the blade finally took shape, the blacksmith stepped back. Perfect balance, clean edge, and a sound, faint, metallic, humming within the steel. Like a breath held too long, the first man to carry the blade did not know its name. He was a soldier by necessity, not by pride. One of many pressed into service by lords who measured loyalty and survival. The blacksmith watched him leave the valley, the sword wrapped in plain cloth, its quiet hum barely audible beneath the wind. War did not wait long. The battlefield lay near a river, its banks churned into mud by boots and fear. Banners snapped, commands were shouted, then lost. Before the first clash, the soldier felt it, a sound beneath the noise. Not coming from the world, but from the blade. At first, he thought it was vibration, steel reacting to motion. He tightened his grip. The sound grew clearer, voices, not words he could understand, but moments. Sudden flashes of pain, weightlessness, the final shock of impact. They came and went like breath, leaving him unsteady. When the enemy charged, his body moved before his thoughts. The blade cut cleanly, too cleanly. The fight ended quickly. Victory should have brought relief. Instead, the soldier stood among the fallen, his hands trembling. The voices did not stop when the battle ended. They lingered. That night, he could not sleep. Each time he closed his eyes, he felt another ending, not his own, but close enough to steal his breath. By morning, the sword felt heavier. Not in his arms, in his chest. He gave it away before the next battle, passed it to another man without explanation. Without warning, the blade did not protest. It only rang once, softly, as it changed hands. And the voices followed. The blade traveled faster than the war itself, from one camp to another, from one banner to the next, always leaving victory behind it, and something else that could not be counted. A mercenary carried it next. He fought for coin, not cause. He told himself the voices were fear, the mind preparing for danger. He was wrong. Before every clash, the whispers gathered. They did not shout. They did not plead. They remembered. He began to hesitate before striking, not out of mercy, but exhaustion. The weight of countless endings pressed into his thoughts, slowing his breath. When he survived a battle he should not have, he laughed, sharp and brief, then dropped the sword into the dirt. A young warrior took it up. His hands shook before his first fight. The blade hummed gently, as if greeting him. The voices were quieter this time, almost patient. They showed him fragments, faces he had never seen, ground he had never stood upon. His body learned fear before his mind could name it. He survived, but each victory hollowed him further. Sleep brought no rest. Dreams blurred into borrowed memories. He woke knowing how it felt to fall, to wait, to be still. The blade grew familiar with defeat. Those who carried it began to sense it before battle. The moment when the sword sound changed. When it warned not of danger, but of accumulation. Too many endings held too close together. Too much memory pressed into steel. Some owners tried to leave it behind. The blade always found another hand. Far from the fields of war, the blacksmith felt it then. A sudden heaviness in his chest, as if something he had made was asking to be noticed again. The final bearer was not chosen by strength. He found the sword leaning against a broken shrine at the edge of a ruined village. No guards, no bodies, only silence and the faint metallic hum that rose when he stepped closer. He was older than most who went to war. Not slow, simply careful. He had seen enough fighting to know that survival was not proof of meaning. When he lifted the blade, the voices did not rush him. They waited. Before the first battle, He sat alone and listened, not to the whispers, but to the spaces between them, the pauses where memory weighed more than sound. The sword did not demand violence. It did not pull his arm forward. It remembered. He understood then what the others had not. The blade was not cursed. It was full. Each strike added another moment, another ending pressed into steel that had nowhere left to give. The voices were not warnings. They were remnants, layered one upon another, seeking release through repetition. In battle, the warrior slowed. He blocked when he could, stepped aside when possible. When he struck, it was once, never more. The blade rang louder with each refusal, as if confused by restraint. The voices grew heavier, not angrier, tired. After the battle, he did not follow the army. He turned back toward the mountains, toward the valley, toward the forge that had gone silent long ago. When he arrived, the roof had collapsed. The anvil lay cracked. Ash covered the floor like old snow. Among the debris, he found a journal wrapped in cloth. The blacksmith's hand was steady in the early pages. Later entries grew sparse. Matter remembers shape. Steel remembers force. If memory is never released, it becomes weight. The final line was simple. A blade that is never lifted forgets how to speak. The warrior closed the journal. The sword was quiet now. Not silent, waiting. The field lay beyond the old road, where no banners stood anymore. Grass had grown over broken earth. Wind moved freely where once commands had echoed. The ground remembered nothing clearly, only that many had fallen there, and none had stayed. The warrior arrived at dawn. He carried the blade wrapped in cloth, though it no longer hung. The silence around it felt deliberate, as if the steel itself was listening. He knelt. The earth was soft from years without marching feet. When he drove the katana into the ground, there was no resistance. The blade sank easily, as if the soil had been waiting for it. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the sound came. Not voices, not memory, a single, clear ring of steel, low and distant, like the last vibration after a bell is struck. The warrior stepped back. He did not bow. He did not speak. He walked away without looking behind him. Time passed. Rain fell. Wind shifted the soil. The earth settled. The cloth rotted. The hilt loosened. Slowly, the blade leaned, then slipped free of the ground, exposed again to the air. The sound returned. Faint, metallic, unfinished. Somewhere, far away, another war was beginning, and the blade remembered.